Supermarkets and newsagents could face a legal challenge if they refuse to remove magazines and newspapers with naked women on their covers.
Yeah, a new campaign by two protest groups is putting pressure on retailers to remove lads' magazines, as they are at the moment, from their shelves.
If they don't, lawyers are threatening to bring a test case and support employees and customers who are uncomfortable with the images. We asked people if they thought this was a good idea.
It doesn't really offend me in any way, if I'm completely honest.
I think it makes women look like objects for men to just sit and look at as such, which I think is very discriminating against women.
I don't think there should be any laws to stop people from selling lad mags. You know, why are we having this conversation about selling lad mags when there's so many more important things going on in the world?
There's other things that they need to use the law on at the moment rather than lads mags.
End of the day, it's just it's industry, it's like a market.
We can pick up on this now with Kat Banyard from UK Feminista, one of the campaign groups involved in this legal action challenge. She's here with us in the studio, and Piers Hernu, a former editor of a lads mag, who's in London this morning. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Well, Kat, first of all, what are we talking about here? A legal challenge, potentially, because it could be discriminatory, seeing these images on the front, and there are complaints about it. But aren't you just against these magazines per se?
Well, what every customer in the UK needs to know is that when they go and do their weekly shop and when they go and get a pint of milk, they don't have to put up with seeing women portrayed as sex objects on the front of magazines any longer. I think for a long time we've thought that this is just a fact of life, that unfortunately we're going to have pornography in our faces in everyday life. But actually, we have rights both as customers and as employees of those shops. And the reality is that every single shop selling lads mags, these are shops like WH Smith, Tesco's, they are open to legal action from their employees and in some circumstances from their customers.
So is it the cover that you find most objectionable?
It's the covers of lads mags is where the legal issue becomes live, but shops should not be selling magazines that portray women as sex objects and send out a deeply harmful message, because we know from extensive research that these images have real harm. They promote sexist attitudes and behaviours, attitudes which underpin violence against women. So this isn't an issue of morality or of taste, this is about real harm. But people don't have to put up with it any longer, and that's why we're campaigning with campaign group Object to call on retailers to lose the lads mags or risk legal action.
Well, Piers, yes.
What do you say to that, Piers? I mean, the idea that these magazines are pushing pornography in customers' faces in these shops.
Well, that is a premise which is fundamentally flawed. To call the covers of lads mags pornography, I don't think any right-minded individual would agree with that. What we have here is a very deeply sort of sinister and I think disturbing attempt by a group of fundamentalist, fanatical feminists trying to rope in some lawyers in order to bully the supermarket into removing lads mags from the shelves by alerting both staff and customers who previously haven't been feeling the need to get litigious about this matter, to alerting them that they may be able to win a court case you know, if they take it to court. I don't think the supermarkets will respond very well to this attempt to strong-arm them into removing them from the shelves, because the supermarkets, in my experience, you know, are very vigilant about what they put on their shelves in terms of magazines, you know, and they exert a lot of pressure on editors not to overstep the mark.
Well, it's not strong-arming people if there have been complaints, presumably. How many complaints have there been?
Well, the reality is that people haven't known until this point that they could do anything about it. And the legal advice that we've obtained that shows that both potentially customers and employees can take action is completely new. So it's the responsibility now of retailers to remove the lads mags from their shelves, or they risk legal action.
So I mean, you're alerting lots and lots of customers to the fact that they may be able to make a bit of money from suing supermarkets. It's like encouraging the whole country to become litigious. It's just... It's wrong.
There's been extensive criticism over the years about lads mags. So we've had campaigns from groups such as Mumsnet. We've had the government-commissioned review into the sexualisation of young people, which has strongly criticised the role of lads mags in sending out the message that women can be treated just as dehumanised sex objects. And yet retailers have failed to act time and time again. But actually, for the first time, we now know that the law is on our side. We don't have to put up with this. So I'd say to anyone who feels uncomfortable about seeing these images when they're going about buying their weekly shop, they should go to losetheladsmags.org.uk and sign the petition and send a clear message to high street shops.
Piers, you can see why some of these images on the front pages, some of the messages are explicit and could offend people. You must accept that.
Well, you know, I mean... so what, you know, you have a model with a bit of cleavage, that's about as far as it goes, and, you know, if you're going to point the finger, then point the finger at some of the women's magazines that objectify women and point out that they've got a, you know, a flabby tummy on the beach or a bit of cellulite and all this kind of stuff. Of course, they're not being affected by this at all. I think it's this kind of issue crops up year after year, and I've spent quite a long career defending lads mags, and the reason it crops up year after year is because there is not a groundswell of opinion across the British public complaining about this. They accept that lads mags have a place in society and that they're not pornographic, and that, you know, there is a degree of, you know, we don't like censorship, we don't like book burning and that kind of approach, which is what this is very similar.
You said so what there, but we've had quite a few emails from viewers this morning, and a flavour of them. Bernadette said that they do degrade women. Sarah said, should our children see these images? We did also have some emails from Andy, who said, don't forget the people inside choose to be there, and Ian said this is an industry that creates jobs. So perhaps we should end it on our viewers' thoughts on that debate this morning, but thank you both for joining us on Breakfast.
Thank you.